seconds.
Underway here at the 2019 Reebok CrossFit Games as we start things off with the team competition. Rich Froning and CrossFit Mayhem Freedom getting set to tackle Assault to Bob, the second of two heats in the opening event here for the teams. Only 2 of the 7 teams in the first heat were able to complete all the work in this event inside the 17 time cap. It was the Exterminators. They had the time to beat at 16 minutes, 25.03 seconds. CrossFit Alioth, they were second, 16 minutes, 43.17 seconds. Thanks for being with us here today. Rogue Iron Game Show. I am Sean Woodland alongside Andy Sakamoto and Dan Bailey. When we came into this event, we thought it would be the toes to bar that were the kind of the sticking point. After watching that first heat, this thing kind of comes down to the bob.
Definitely, and I have to admit that it wasn't the Exterminators of all the super teams that I was watching on that event, but they pushed that bob so well. They had some great splits throughout the entire event and then kept finishing the event with 16:25. Really impressive time.
Just saw Alex Smith, he was on the assault bike as they worked their way through their calories. All 4 athletes on the team working at the same time.
One of the things I noticed with some of the teams early is that their splits actually decreased on the toe-to-bar round as they went from round to round. So it seems like teams are kind of tackling that with some sort of plan. Hey, first round we might break it up this way, make sure that we get in a good spot on that bob. Second round, let's try to push a little bit harder. Third round's just kind of everything you got at the finish, as we saw at the finish line between the Exterminators and Elias on that bob.
3 teams now are on to the toes to bar. That is the team of Misfits. Don't Stop, Travis Williams, Roy Gamboa, Alexis Johnson, and Jen Smith on their toes to bar. There are 105 total scored reps in this event. There are 35 reps per round, and the leader's name at the top of your screen in the heat will be highlighted in the blue box. The number of repetitions that they have completed will be in the white box next to their names, and everyone else in red. The number in the white box will indicate how many repetitions behind the leaders they are.
And we saw, I believe it was Pro 1 Montreal, come out with a huge set in the first event, the first heat. They came out with a set of 15, I believe, toes to bar. It'll be interesting to see if any other teams try to tackle some larger sets or if they just keep it to sets of 10 or 15, smaller sets.
I'm actually curious, too, to know if how much of these teams got to watch the devastation on the big bob. Hey, here's a quick change of plan. Here's what we need to do now. Let's shift our focus to the bob rather than toes to bar.
Rich Froning and Mayhem Freedom, they are on to the bob next to them. Other teams getting to the big bob. Don't Stop is out there, the Central Beasts as well. Bondel Gym, they're on it. They had the fastest time on the toes to bar, just 59 seconds to get all 30 of those reps knocked out. Rich Froning and Dre Strom up front, pushing for Mayhem Freedom. 1,200 pounds. They have to push it halfway down the field and then halfway back. 35 total reps. They get a rep credited for every line that they cross. Again, the time to beat belongs to the Exterminators, the team of Rob Forte, Zeke Grove, Kate Gordon, and Daniel Jenny. 16 minutes, 25.03 seconds. Don't Stop has made the turn. They are on the way back. Central Beast, Project X, they are all in that fight for the lead here in the first of 3 rounds of the Assault to Bob, the opening event for the teams here at the 2019 Reebok CrossFit Games.
It's amazing to see how much closer this heat is so far with that bob than the first heat. There seemed to be a lot more separation on that first round in the first heat.
And you can definitely see while they're pushing this thing, when they stop and rest, nobody's that tired yet. I think it's definitely something like, hey, we need to pace this. We need to be careful with what we're doing here because that third round, the push is going to be pretty devastating.
Don't Stop at the bottom right of your screen, getting set to finish up their first big bob push. Travis Williams, Roy Gamboa, Jen Smith, and Alexis Johnson trying to track down the Exterminators' top time of 25.03 seconds, and they are the first team on to round number 2 through 35 of the 105 total repetitions in this event. And now just about every team is back for their second round on the assault bike. That was CrossFit Vondel Gym just finishing up. And now every team here in the second and final heat of event number 1 onto the assault bike for the second time. Past the 5-minute mark, 17-minute time cap here in the opening event.
And kind of at this point in the workout, the pain's starting to set in a little bit. You're definitely starting to get out of breath, but it's something where you still have to stay under control. You have to kind of keep everything in line, make sure that you're executing the plan that the rest of your team is doing. You don't want to come off too hot, too early, too fast, but be able to move through this second round and don't lose so much ground that you're not going to be able to catch up in the third.
Invictus on the left of your screen. Next to them is CrossFit Krypton. Jessica Griffith in the middle of your screen, blonde hair. Next to her, Camila Blanc-Bazinet. Had a chance to talk to the two of them yesterday, and they were certainly ready to get this competition kicked off today.
Well, and all 4 of these athletes are great at something like toes to bar. When we looked at this workout, I definitely thought about that team and the synchronized toes to bar. But again, this workout seems to be coming down to the big bob push. So we'll see what happens on the second round of the push for them.
Mayhem Freedom, they are towards the top of your screen. They are doing their toes to bar right now. They were the first team onto the pull-up bar. And Don't Stop right behind them. And then Project X, the team out of Australia, they're moving to the pull-up bar for their next set of 30 synchronized toes to bar. Mayhem Freedom, your leader there through 48, now 49 of those 105 total reps. Through 15 of those 30 toes to bar at this point. Don't Stop 6 back of them. Central B sitting in third, followed by Project X, and then CrossFit Krypton.
And Central Beasts are not far behind. They're only about 8 reps behind Mayhem Freedom right now. So they're staying within reach, just like Dan was saying. They're not losing too much ground.
And this is where a team like Mayhem Freedom has such an advantage. You know that they have trained this stuff over and over, and that kind of familiarity, I mean, that is such an advantage in an event like this.
Right.
Mayhem Freedom has now finished off their second set of 30 toes to bar, and now it's their second of 3 bob pushes, 1,200 pounds on the bob. Again, the time to beat 16, 25.03 seconds. And that belongs to the Exterminators. They did that in the first heat. This is the second and final heat of the opening event for the teams here at the 2019 Reebok CrossFit Games in Madison, Wisconsin. We do not know what awaits these teams later in the day, but we do know that they do have another event that they will have to complete. Now the Central Beasts on the right side of your screen, they have overtaken Don't Stop for second place. Now Don't Stop on the far right, they are back on the bob. Mayhem Freedom, though, left of your screen, they are your leaders in this heat as we approach the 8-minute mark, 17-minute time cap in this event.
Mayhem Freedom on this round has the fastest assault bike calories and the fastest toe to bar. They were one of the slowest on the first round on the bob push. So let's see how they kind of change that up on this round. What they're doing right now is working for them.
Rich Froning and Dre Strom up front for Mayhem Freedom.
Well, and I think it lends itself to what you said earlier, Dan, that you can't go out too hot. You don't want to go out too fast. It's about being consistent through that second round and then being able to push on the third round. We saw a great race at the end of the first heat between Alioth and the Exterminators on the big bob.
The CrossFit Vondel, Jim, you just saw them on the right of your screen. They're the final team on to their second big bob push. Meanwhile, it's Mayhem Freedom still in the lead through 68 of the 105 scored repetitions, getting set to close out their second of 3 rounds. They have started their return trip on this bob push. Now Don't Stop. They're at the halfway point. Mayhem Freedom, though, all alone in first place in this heat as they are working their way back to the rig.
And actually, Team Invictus is still just finished up their toes to bar, so they're the last ones getting to that big bob on this second round.
That's CrossFit Krypton. Alex Smith, Cody Mooney, Jessica Griffith, and Camila Blanc-Bazinet on that team. It's CrossFit Vondel Gym. Reaching the halfway point on the left of your screen of their second of 3 bob pushes. Again, 1,200 pounds on that thing. That is a heavy load for 4 people. Remember, this thing first showed up when it was a 6-person implement.
Right. Now we're cutting that down by 2 people. That makes the little extra special on the legs for the 4 people trying to push that across the line.
Mayhem Freedom finishing their second round.
This is my most interesting part to watch right here, at least for me, watching them come off that second bob push back onto the Devil's Tricycle.
Yes.
You're not really happy to get back on and start pushing that thing and pedaling. The agony on the faces, the pain is really setting in heading into the third round.
Project X in the middle of your screen. They are passing up Krypton at the top. The Central Beasts are at the bottom. This is the battle for second place. This team is all alone in first. It's Mayhem Freedom. Rich Froning, Dre Strom led the way on that bob push. Tasia Persevich and China Cho, the other 2 members of that team. They qualified through the Asia CrossFit Championship. Central Beasts, they are back onto the bikes. Project X, very top of your screen, they are there. And now CrossFit Krypton at the top of your screen, getting onto their third and final bike. And Invictus, one of 3 of the Invictus teams here at the CrossFit Games, struggling on the bob. I mean, surprising, they got 2 really powerful athletes.
Yeah, I like you said, John,
Anderson and Tommy Venus.
Exactly, and that really surprises me with both the bike and the big bob that they're struggling right now. I would think that those are areas where they would shine a little bit.
The Vondel Gym, they are now across, and they will get to the work on their third and final assault bikes. Judges' hands are in the air for Mayhem Freedom, meaning they are just about done completing their work on the assault bike for the final time, and then it's 30 synchronized toes to bar before a final bob push all the way across the field. Froning is off. He has to wait for Dre Strom. Approaching the 12-minute mark. Only 2 teams in the first heat able to complete all the work inside that 17-minute time cap, and Mayhem Freedom looks to be the third. Now the question is, can they chase down the Exterminators' top time of 16 minutes, 25.03 seconds? They are now on to their final set of 30 synchronized toes to bar, left side of your screen. Through 72 and counting of the 105 total repetitions in this event, Project X sits in second. It's the Central Beasts in third.
And I believe Mayhem went a full 15 even on that second round of synchro toes to bar. So it'll be interesting to see if they do the same here. And right now it looks like they're about 12 reps.
12 reps, yep.
Yeah. Still really impressive to think on the third round they're holding such a big number.
Through 12 of those 30. And they are the only team on the toes to bar. You just saw at the top of your screen Project X, the team out of Australia. Brandon Swan, Con Porter, Jessica Coughlin, and Harriet Roberts. They are now on the pull-up bar as well. Here comes CrossFit Krypton. Now 3 more teams making their ways to the pull-up bar. They are your leaders. CrossFit Mayhem Freedom, Dre Strom, China Cho, Tasia Persevich, and Rich Froning.
Only a couple reps to go on that toe to bar. And I imagine that once they get to that big bob, they're gonna push hard and push fast.
And they are done with their toes to bar, and that was the fastest that they have gotten through it so far. They beat their prior round by 5 seconds, so they are speeding up as this event goes on, and that could be bad news for the Exterminators, who currently have the time to beat at 16:25.03, upper left-hand part of your screen, and now Mayhem Freedom onto their final bob push. They have to push it all the way across the field, and the entire thing needs to get into the blue paint on the other side.
On that last round, Project X, or on the second round, Project X was able to beat Mayhem on the bob push by about 10 seconds, and right now I don't know if that's going to be enough if they can try to do that again to be able to catch up.
We just saw the Central Beasts. They are still working through their toes to bar. They are currently in second place, 8 reps back of Mayhem Freedom. CrossFit Krypton is in third. Don't Stop has fallen back into fourth. They were your early leaders in this second and final heat, but Mayhem Freedom all by themselves, the only team on the bob push. About 2 minutes to go before that top time hits of 16:25.03 seconds. The winner of this event, 100 points in the overall standings, and points are so valuable here because remember, we are cutting down the field for the teams just like we are for the individuals. We start with 14, we're going to go to 11, down to 9, then to 7, and then down to the final 5. Dre Strom and Rich Froning, China Cho and Tasia Persevich behind them. And now 2 more teams have gotten themselves on the bob. Krypton at the top of your screen and the Central Beasts in the middle. Mayhem Freedom back to work.
They have just over a minute to try to beat that time by the Exterminators in the first heat. They still have about 1.5 reps if you look at the tick marks to go.
CrossFit Krypton and Central Beast, they're fighting for second place in this heat, but it looks like if this pace keeps up, that Mayhem Freedom and Rich Froning are going to lock up an event win here. They have less than a minute to go to chase down the Exterminator's top time. Final feet for Rich Froning and company. That whole thing needs to get into the blue paint. Rich Froning and CrossFit Mayhem Freedom, and they are going to win event 1, Assault to Bob, and lock up 100 points. Second place in this event is still within reach, but they're going to have to hurry. That's CrossFit Krypton, because now the second place time is 16:25.03 seconds. If Krypton can hurry up, they might be able to get there, but it looks like that time of 16:25.03 for the Exterminators is going to hold. They will lock up second place in the event. Now whoever gets across the finish line next is going to finish third overall. That will be worth 86 points. Inside 30 seconds to go before we hit the 17-minute time cap.
There it is, CrossFit Krypton. Third place finish.
Great result for Alex Smith, Cody Mooney, Jessica Griffith, and Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet as they will take third in this event. The Central Beasts trying to get in with seconds to spare here. The good news for them is that they may have gotten far enough to take fourth in that event. But those two, with the help of China Cho and Tasia Persevich, CrossFit Mayhem Freedom and Rich Froning, they win event number 1 and lock up 100 points in the overall standings. And Big Bob certainly took its toll on Rich Froning and company, and this is a case of getting faster as you go through an event, and they certainly played their strategy perfectly here.
Yeah, definitely had some kind of strategy coming into it. You can see him on the bike there looking super relaxed on round 1. Obviously, like you mentioned, probably paced those toes to bar on round 1 and round 2, as round 3, they actually had their fastest split on that movement.
Right, and then what they were too was just so consistent on that push. You could see, like you were saying, down those first 2 rounds, they looked just very controlled, almost kind of slow, if you will. And then it really came down to being able to hit that third round, do some negative splits on all the movements, and then almost a full 30-second win for the 100 points.
100 points for Rich Froning and Mayhem Freedom.
The 2019 Reebok CrossFit Games, you guys were able to pick up speed even in that last heat, or in that last round rather, getting to Big Bob faster than you ever had before. How did you find the strength and the ability to do that after all those rounds?
We were trying not to let the girls down because they were finishing before us. China's like, come on.
A little faster now. Now this has been a different season, a different approach to the games than we've ever seen before. You guys have had the ability to train together for a while. How did that set you up properly for this?
Yeah, we get along great. Everybody communicates really well. We kind of let China take the lead on the communication on the tow bar, and then it was just when me and Drake could push on the sled.
Well, congratulations, guys. Way to start it off.
Thank you.
Just one of 4 teams to finish all the work inside that 17-minute time cap. The Exterminators, the team that won the first heat, their time lasts for second place, and they will lock up 93 points in the overall standings. CrossFit Krypton, CrossFit Alley out the other 2 getting across the finish line inside the 17-minute time cap here in the opening event of the 2019 Reebok CrossFit Games for the teams.